Hi, folks. I want to talk about something uncomfortable today when it comes to mental health and recovery. Not dramatic, it's not trendy at all. Just something I've seen over and over again in real people who genuinely wanted to feel better. This isn't about failure, and it's definitely not about blame. It's about the work that wasn't done and why that matters far more than some people realize. Over the years, many people came to me quietly, not demanding miracles, not looking for shortcuts. They were tired. Not like I need a nap tired, the kind of tired that lives in your bones. The kind of tired that makes effort itself feel dangerous. And those people came because something hurt, a relationship, their body, their work, or just the flat gray feeling of waking up every day and feeling nothing. In the first session, they listened carefully, they nodded. Some took notes. Many said, "This totally makes sense." And then they went home. The session ended. The work we agreed for them to do was never extreme. Maybe a walk, maybe a consistent bedtime, maybe removing one of the worst foods, one small habit practiced daily, writing something out by hand, sometimes getting and taking a carefully chosen supplement, modest things. And yet, week after week, the same words came back. I didn't get to it. I really meant to do it. It was a hard week. I forgot. I just didn't have it in me. There was really no anger most of the time, no defiance, just resignation. And slowly, painfully, something became clear. Many people were failing, not because the approach was wrong. They were failing because they weren't participating in their own recovery. Depression isn't only suffering. Sometimes it's a withdrawal from responsibility. Not because someone is lazy, but because despair convinces them that their actions don't matter. And when someone no longer believes that their efforts count, even the best guidance becomes just background noise. And this is sometimes where free help reveals its hidden cost. When help costs you nothing, it often feels like it's worth nothing. And that's not because the provider lacks value, but because the person receiving it hasn't risked anything of themselves. No time, no money, no discomfort, no inner commitment, no work of being human. Free help can educate, free help can soothe, it can even inspire hope, but it rarely changes a life. Because change requires friction, change requires sacrifice, change requires doing something even when motivation is gone, especially when motivation is gone. The people who improved, including myself, weren't the most resourced or the least ill. They were the ones who showed up having done something, sometimes often imperfectly, sometimes resentfully, hesitantly. But they did it anyway. They had skin in the game. And this is why I eventually changed how I worked. not because I lost compassion for my suffering humans, fellow, but because compassion without accountability quietly becomes collusion with illness. I began working only with people who were willing to invest, not a specific amount, but something meaningful to them. Payment wasn't a transaction, it was a declaration. My life is worth my effort. Alongside that came a written commitment, not to me, but to themselves. And I implemented the hardest boundary of all: 3 chances. Miss doing your homework once, we'll talk about it. Twice, we'll reflect deeply why that happened and what we can do. 3 times, that's it, I step away. Not in anger, not in judgment, but in truth. Because continuing to try and treat, counsel, coach someone who won't engage doesn't heal them, doesn't help them. It teaches them that responsibility is optional and that someone else will carry their life for them. That isn't care. That's abandonment disguised as kindness. Healing, especially natural healing, takes time, often a year or more. The nervous system heals slowly. Trust in oneself returns gradually. There's no pill that replaces practice. There's no insight that substitutes for repetition. And not everyone is ready to get well. And that's a hard truth. But when someone finally decides to invest time, effort, some money, and even discomfort, something profound happens. They stop waiting to be rescued, and they begin at last to participate in their own life. And that's the work that changes everything, the work of being human. If this resonated, I've written more reflections like this on my site for people that want healing without shortcuts, without pressure, and without promises.